Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving deep into HR and people management.
Ooh, exciting.
We're using Armstrong's Handbook of Human Resource Management Practice as our guide.
Sounds dense.
But don't worry, we'll skip the boring textbook stuff.
Awesome. I'm all for practical insight.
Exactly. We're going to uncover what really makes organizations tick.
Like how to motivate people.
Yep. And we'll tackle those ethical dilemmas HR folks face.
That's a hot topic these days.
For sure. So let's start with the basics.
Okay, back to square one.
What exactly is HRM? It's come a long way from just personnel.
Right, it's more strategic now.
But calling people resources can feel a bit cold, like we're just cogs in a machine.
I hear that. Some folks prefer people management.
Emphasizes the human side.
Exactly. This handbook acknowledges those concerns. It digs into different approaches like the Harvard model.
What's that all about?
It stresses aligning people practices with a company's goals.
So it's not just about keeping employees happy. It's about everyone working together.
Bingo. And that brings us to strategic HRM, or SHRM for short.
Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff. What's the big idea behind SHRM?
Imagine a rowing team, everyone pulling in the same direction.
Makes sense.
SHRM ensures everyone's rowing towards the same goal.
So aligning people practices with the organization's big picture.
Precisely. Think Google. Their HR practices reflect their innovative culture.
Like their famous 20% time for personal projects.
Exactly. That's how they keep churning out amazing products.
So it's about having a plan, but also making that plan actually work.
Absolutely. Strong company culture, effective leadership, and engaged employees are key.
Seems like SHRM blends big picture thinking and actually getting things done.
It does. And it recognizes that people are unique assets, not just interchangeable parts.
Right. People aren't robots. They bring different talents and skills to the table.
Exactly. That's the resource-based view.
I like that. People are valuable resources.
Think Pixar. Their success comes from their unique pool of creative talent.
Makes you wonder, though, is SHRM one size fits all, or does it adapt?
Great question. There's a debate. Best practice versus best fit.
Interesting.
Should we follow universal HR practices or tailor them to each organization?
I guess it depends on the company.
The handbook leans towards best fit.
Okay, so like tailoring a suit. A startup needs different HR practices than a huge corporation, right?
Exactly. No need to force a square peg into a round hole.
And that connects to how the role of HR is evolving. It's becoming more strategic.
You're reading my mind. I've heard the term business partner floating around.
Okay, yeah. What does that even mean for HR professionals?
Think of them as advisors to business leaders, working side by side, not just stuck in a back office.
So they're involved in the big decisions now, not just paperwork.
Exactly, but it comes with its own challenges.
Like what? Having to wear so many hats?
One hurdle is staying relevant to the business while still handling essential tasks.
Finding that balance. All this sounds great, but does the research back it up? Does good HRM actually lead to better results?
The research is pretty convincing. Companies with strong HR practices tend to do better.
Okay, so investing in your people really pays off.
It does. But the funny thing is, we're still figuring out exactly how it works.
So we know it's effective, but we don't know the exact recipe for success.
Right. Researchers call it the black box phenomenon.
Intriguing. So, like, knowing a cake is delicious, but not having the recipe.
Precisely. But one key ingredient seems to be high-performance work systems, or HPWS.
HPWS. Sounds fancy. What's the deal with those?
Think of them as a bundle of HR practices that empower and engage employees.
So more than just a to-do list.
It's about teamwork, employee voice, opportunities for development, and performance-based rewards.
Sounds like it creates a workplace where people actually want to contribute.
That's the goal. And research suggests that HPWS have a big impact on a company's success.
This makes me think about motivation. How do we keep people engaged and actually wanting to do their best work?
It's a question that's puzzled managers forever. And the answer is more nuanced than you might think.
More nuanced. You mean it's not just about money?
Money does matter, but it's not the whole story.
Okay, now you've got my attention. What else is there?
There's intrinsic motivation.
Intrinsic, like finding meaning in the work itself.
Exactly. That feeling of satisfaction and purpose.
Like those artists who get lost in their work?
Yes. They're not just in it for the paycheck. They genuinely enjoy the process.
And the handbook says we can boost this intrinsic motivation through job design.
Right. Giving employees more autonomy, variety in their tasks, and regular feedback.
So designing jobs that are challenging, meaningful, and allow for growth.
You're getting it. It's about giving them ownership, not just assigning tiny pieces of a puzzle.
Makes sense. And this is where theories like Maslow's hierarchy come in, right?
Exactly. Remember that pyramid of needs?
Vaguely. Remind me.
At the base, it's basic survival food, shelter. Then it moves up to safety, belonging, recognition, and finally, self-actualization.
Reaching your full potential. So once our basic needs are met, we crave more than just a paycheck.
Exactly. We crave recognition, purpose, and a sense of fulfillment.
Someone in a dead-end job might just be trying to survive, but someone who's passionate about their work is reaching for something more.
That's the difference. And when people are intrinsically motivated, they're more engaged, productive, and happier.
It's a win-win. This is so insightful. It makes you think about what truly motivates you.
It does. HRM is more than just rules. It's about understanding human behavior and helping organizations succeed.
It's about the human side of business.
Exactly. And we're just scratching the surface.
Can't wait to dive deeper. We've covered a lot, but it's clear HRM is a vast and fascinating field.
It is. And it's all about creating a work environment where everyone can thrive.
Stay tuned, folks. We'll be back after a quick break to continue our deep dive into the world of HRM.
You know, all this talk about thriving makes me think about something.
Okay, what's that?
Understanding how people actually behave at work. You know, organizational behavior.
Ooh, yeah, that's like the psychology of the workplace, right?
Exactly. It's about understanding how individuals and groups act within an organization.
Decoding the human element.
Yes, and then using that knowledge to create a more effective and fulfilling workplace.
I see how it fits into the HRM puzzle. It's like looking at the bigger picture.
You got it. And one of the biggest pieces of that puzzle is organizational culture.
Ah, yes. Everyone's always talking about culture, but what does it actually mean?
It's like the invisible glue that holds a company together.
The secret sauce?
Yeah, kind of. It's the shared values, beliefs, and norms that shape how people behave.
So like the unspoken rules of the game, the vibe of the place.
Exactly. It impacts everything from communication to decision-making to how happy people are.
So if you want to change how a company operates, you need to understand its culture.
You nailed it. Think Zappos. They're known for their collaborative culture.
Right. They empower their employees and encourage teamwork. It's intentional.
Absolutely. That's how they deliver amazing customer service.
Oh, so there's no one-size-fits-all culture. It depends on the company's goals and values.
Precisely. Each organization has its own unique cultural DNA.
Some are hierarchical, some are collaborative, some are super innovative.
Exactly. It's like a fingerprint.
And HR folks need to be able to read that fingerprint to see if the culture is healthy or needs a makeover.
Spot on. They're like culture doctors.
This is making me think about my own workplace. It's like you've given me X-ray vision.
That's the power of understanding organizational behavior. It gives you a new lens.
It's not just abstract theory, it's practical stuff we can use every day.
Absolutely. The Handbook even offers tools for assessing and improving culture.
This reminds me, we talked about job design earlier. It's not just about individual motivation. It can actually shape organizational behavior, right?
You're on fire today.
Yeah.
Job design can influence teamwork and communication.
So the way we design jobs can actually impact how people interact.
Exactly. Think about it. If everyone works in silos, there's not much collaboration.
Right, no teamwork. But if jobs are designed to encourage interaction, you create a more collaborative atmosphere.
Exactly. You're building it right into the structure of the work.
The handbook mentioned different approaches to job design.
Yes, like job enrichment, job rotation, and self-managing teams.
Self-managing teams, those are becoming more and more popular, right?
They are, especially in organizations that value flexibility and empowerment.
So what's the secret sauce of a self-managing team?
They have a lot of autonomy. They make their own decisions, manage their workload, and share leadership.
Like mini businesses within a company.
That's a great analogy. And research shows they can be super effective.
But it must take a lot of trust to make that work. You can't just throw people together and hope for the best, right?
You're right. It requires trust, clear communication, and accountability.
It's a deliberate approach. Makes sense. All this focus on teams is great, but what about individual learning and development? How do we help people grow and reach their full potential?
That's what it's all about. Learning and development, or L&D for short, is vital for everyone.
I'm ready to learn. Fill me in. What are the key ideas in L&D?
One foundational concept is the learning cycle.
Ooh, sounds interesting. Tell me more.
It describes how we learn, starting with concrete experiences.
Okay, real-world stuff.
Then we reflect on those experiences, form abstract concepts, and finally test them out in new situations.
So it's not just passive learning, it's about actively engaging with new information.
You got it. Like learning to ride a bike. You don't just read a manual, you hop on and try.
Right. Trial and error, and falling a few times along the way.
Exactly. And the handbook emphasizes that people learn differently. Some learn by doing, others by observing, others by listening.
So there's no one-size-fits-all approach. We got to cater to different learning styles.
Precisely. And of course, we can't forget about technology.
Right. Technology is changing everything, including how we learn.
We've got online learning platforms, virtual reality simulations. It's amazing.
It's mind-blowing. But can technology really replace human interaction in learning? Isn't there something special about learning from a mentor or a teacher?
That's a great question. Technology has its limits.
Right. It's a tool, not a replacement for human connection.
Exactly. It should complement human interaction, not replace it completely.
Finding that balance, this makes me think about my own professional development. What skills do I need to focus on to stay ahead of the curve?
That's the question we should all be asking ourselves. The world of work is constantly evolving.
So we need to be adaptable, curious, and embrace lifelong learning.
You got it. It's about having a growth mindset.
Always looking for opportunities to learn and grow.
The handbook even has tips on creating a personal learning plan.
Sounds helpful. It's about taking ownership of your own development.
Exactly. Be the CEO of your own career. And speaking of CEOs, this brings us to leadership development.
Ah, yes. How do we cultivate effective leaders for the future, especially in such a rapidly changing world?
It's a critical question. The handbook dives into various approaches.
Okay, break it down for me. What are the key elements of effective leadership development?
One powerful approach is experiential learning.
Learning by doing, not just sitting in a classroom.
Exactly. Give aspiring leaders real-world challenges and stretch goals.
Push them outside their comfort zone.
Right, like sending them on an international assignment.
Wow, that's a real challenge. Immersing them in a new culture and forcing them to adapt.
It's a crash course in leadership.
This reminds me of emotional intelligence. That's becoming super important for leaders, right?
Absolutely. EQ is essential.
So being self-aware, empathetic, and building strong relationships.
You got it. It's not just about being smart, it's about having the emotional skills to lead effectively.
Makes sense. A leader with high EQ can create a more positive and supportive work environment.
Exactly. They can motivate their team and handle conflicts constructively.
And the handbook suggests EQ can be developed. It's not just something you're born with.
That's right. We can all work on our EQ through training and self-reflection.
So anyone can learn to be a better leader. This makes me wonder, are some leadership styles just naturally more effective than others?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
The handbook explores various styles, from authoritarian to democratic.
So many options.
There's no one best style. Depends on the situation and the team.
It's like having different tools in a toolbox. You wouldn't use a hammer to screw in a light bulb.
Exactly. You need the right tool for the job.
And the right leadership style for the situation. This makes me think, what are the qualities that really make a great leader stand out?
It's a question that's been debated for centuries.
Right. So many different theories.
But some qualities consistently emerge, like vision, integrity, empathy, and the ability to inspire others.
So it's a combination of character and skills. It's not just about being brilliant, it's about having the right values and connecting with people on a human level.
You nailed it. The best leaders understand human nature. They can motivate their team and bring out the best in each individual.
So insightful. It sounds like leadership development is a journey, not a destination. It's about continuous growth and self-awareness.
Exactly. And this brings us to something that's often dreaded: performance management.
Ooh, yeah. Performance reviews. Nobody really enjoys those, do they?
They don't have to be dreaded. It shouldn't be an annual ritual that everyone fears.
It can feel so formal and impersonal, like just checking boxes instead of having a real conversation about growth.
You're right. The handbook emphasizes that performance management should be an ongoing process.
Regular feedback, coaching, development, like having a personal trainer for your career.
That's a great way to put it. It's about creating a culture of feedback where people feel comfortable giving and receiving constructive criticism.
A culture of growth, not judgment.
Exactly. But I'll admit, it can be challenging.
I bet. It's not always easy to give or receive feedback, especially when it's about performance.
One challenge is ensuring those reviews are fair, objective, and consistent.
No playing favorites.
Right. We need clear performance standards and a level playing field.
And technology can help with this, right?
Absolutely. There are performance management software programs that can track goals and provide feedback.
So it's about automating the tedious stuff and focusing on the human side of performance management.
That's the goal. But it's important to use technology thoughtfully.
Right. We don't want it to feel like Big Brother is watching.
The handbook stresses transparency and communication when using technology.
So employees understand how it's being used. It's about maintaining trust.
Exactly. This whole discussion has been insightful. Performance management is about growth and improvement, not judgment.
I love that, creating a culture where people feel supported, not criticized. Speaking of feeling supported, let's talk compensation and rewards. That's always a hot topic.
It is. Compensation and rewards are crucial for attracting and retaining talent, motivating employees, and driving performance.
Okay, let's break it down. What makes for an effective compensation and rewards system?
One of the most important principles is fairness. Employees need to be paid fairly for their work, and there should be a clear connection between pay and performance.
So people feel valued and recognized, and high performers are rewarded for their efforts.
Exactly. The handbook talks about different approaches to pay, like job evaluation and market pricing.
Okay, what's job evaluation all about?
Imagine a scale where you weigh different jobs based on their value to the organization.
Interesting. So you're considering skills, responsibility, and effort.
Exactly. You're creating a hierarchy of jobs based on their worth.
And then you have market pricing. Right. That's about staying competitive.
Right. You're checking what your competitors are offering to make sure you're not losing talent to companies with better pay.
Makes sense. You need to stay in the game and adjust your compensation strategy as needed.
Absolutely. But compensation goes beyond just base salary. It's a whole package. Bonuses, benefits, stock options.
Total rewards. What does that really encompass?
It's a holistic approach.
Yeah.
It's everything employees value, not just the money.
Yeah.
Benefits, perks, even opportunities for growth.
So recognizing that people are motivated by more than just a big paycheck.
You got it.
Yeah.
They want work-life balance, professional development, and to feel valued.
A well-designed total reward strategy can be a game changer, right?
It can. It helps attract talent, boost engagement, and drive success.
This makes me think about my own compensation. Am I getting everything I want and need from my job?
That's a great question to reflect on. It helps you figure out your priorities. What matters most to you? Money, work-life balance, or growth opportunities?
It's about knowing your values. This all ties into employee benefits. What are the hot topics in that area these days?
One big trend is flexibility. People want more control over their benefit packages.
So moving away from those one-size-fits-all programs.
Exactly. Employees want options that fit their individual needs and lifestyles.
It makes sense. We're not all the same. Some people prioritize healthcare, others childcare or student loan repayment.
Right. And there's a growing emphasis on health and wellness benefits.
Like gym memberships, healthy snacks, mental health programs.
That's about creating a workplace that supports well-being.
This makes me think about the future of work. How will these trends shape the workplace of tomorrow?
It's an exciting time. We're seeing a shift toward more personalized and flexible work, and compensation needs to keep up.
So companies need to be adaptable and innovative.
Exactly. And I think total rewards will become even more important as companies try to attract and retain top talent.
This has been a fascinating deep dive into compensation and rewards. It's a complex and always evolving part of HRM.
It is. And remember, rewarding employees fairly isn't just the right thing to do, it's good business.
Happy employees, happy customers, happy bottom line.
Exactly. It's a win-win for everyone.
This makes me wonder, how can we apply these principles in our own lives? How can we make work more rewarding for ourselves and others?
That's a great question to ponder. Maybe it starts with recognizing each other's value, fostering appreciation, and creating opportunities for growth.
Wise words. It's a reminder that we all play a part in creating a more human-centered workplace.
We can all be agents of positive change.
This has been an amazing exploration of compensation and rewards. Stay tuned, folks. We're diving right back into the world of HRM.
Okay, so we've talked about creating a positive work environment, but let's be real.
Yeah, let's get down to brass tacks.
Things aren't always perfect.
Conflicts happen. Right, so how do we navigate those tricky situations and keep things healthy between employers and employees?
That's where employee relations comes in, building and nurturing that bond.
So it's more than just dealing with unions or contracts.
It's bigger than that.
It's about creating a workplace where everyone feels heard, even when they disagree.
Exactly. The handbook talks about open communication, trust, and fairness.
The foundation of any good relationship.
Right. It's a two-way street.
So not just managers calling the shots?
No, it's a dialogue.
Employees need to feel safe to share their thoughts and concerns.
And managers need to actually listen
Take that feedback seriously.
and be willing to adapt.
This all sounds familiar, like good employee relations and high employee engagement go hand in
They
hand.
do. When employees feel valued and respected, they're more likely to be engaged,
And engaged employees are good for everyone.
more productive, more creative, more committed.
A win-win. But I bet keeping those relationships strong can be tough, especially now with everything changing so fast.
It is. One challenge is managing expectations in a diverse workforce.
Everyone's different,
Different backgrounds, different values, different needs.
so we need to be flexible.
What works for one person might not work for another.
It's about finding ways to make everyone feel included and supported.
Exactly. Speaking of support, what about technology? Can it help with communication and collaboration between employers and employees?
Yeah, good point.
We're seeing these employee engagement platforms popping up everywhere.
Like what?
They're a central hub for communication and feedback.
Like a virtual water cooler.
You got it. And they could be used for pulse surveys to get quick feedback from employees.
So companies can address issues before they blow up.
Right, being proactive.
But I guess technology can also make things feel impersonal, right?
It can.
Like you're just another number.
So, finding that balance again.
Use technology to streamline things, but don't forget those face-to-face interactions.
Human connection is still key.
Totally. This has helped me understand employee relations better. But even with the best efforts, sometimes people leave.
It happens.
Employee turnover.
It's a reality.
Sometimes it's good, fresh start.
But it's something we want to manage well.
Right. Replacing employees is expensive.
Time-consuming, too.
And you lose all that knowledge and experience.
The handbook talks about minimizing unwanted turnover.
Okay.
Creating a positive work environment, offering competitive pay and benefits, and providing growth opportunities.
Sounds familiar. All these HRM principles are connected, creating a place where people want to stay.
They are. But sometimes people leave for reasons we can't control.
Life happens.
It does. Relocation, career changes,
It's about understanding those factors.
and being ready to adapt.
So what are some of the big reasons people leave?
One is wanting to move up in their career.
Ambition. If there's no room to grow, they look elsewhere.
It happens.
So companies need to provide those opportunities.
Clear career paths, development programs, promotions.
And work-life balance is a big one these days, right?
Huge.
Yeah.
If people are burned out or their job is taking over their life,
They're going to make a change.
it's understandable.
Some companies offer unlimited vacation or flexible work to address that.
They're trying to be more supportive.
Makes you wonder if exit interviews are actually helpful
They can't be.
to figure out why people are leaving.
And what could be better?
So, learning from those who move on.
Exactly. Which brings us to workforce planning.
Okay, that sounds strategic.
It is. It's about making sure we have the right people with the right skills at the right time.
Planning for the future.
Like looking into a crystal ball.
Trying to predict what the workforce will need.
And identify any skill gaps we need to fill.
So being proactive instead of just reacting to a crisis.
Exactly. The handbook had a whole framework for workforce planning.
I bet it's complicated.
It involves analyzing trends, forecasting business needs, and finding talent.
Lots of moving parts.
There's software to help, but you also need good old-fashioned human judgment.
Gut instinct still plays a role.
It does. And this all connects back to talent management.
Right, they go hand in hand.
Workforce planning sets the stage by identifying talent needs.
And talent management focuses on attracting, developing, and keeping those great people.
Building that talent pipeline.
This makes me think, what's next for HRM? What big trends are coming down the road?
That's a great question. One thing the handbook mentions is data analytics.
Data. Everyone's talking about data.
It's becoming super important in HRM.
So using data to make better decisions, not just going with your gut.
Exactly. Evidence-based HRM.
I like that. Data-driven decisions.
And employee experience is another hot topic.
I've heard that term. What does it really mean?
It's about creating a positive experience for employees throughout their time with the company.
From the first day to the last day.
Yes, every step of the way.
So thinking holistically about the employee journey.
And making sure it's a good one.
Happy employees, good results.
Exactly. All of this points to the evolving role of HR.
More strategic, more influential.
HR is becoming a key player in navigating the future of work.
A true business partner, not just an administrative department.
And a champion for employees.
Creating a workplace where everyone can thrive.
That's the goal. This has been an incredible deep dive into the world of HRM,
It really has. We've covered so much ground.
from the basics to the cutting-edge trends.
It's clear that HRM is a vital part of any successful organization.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure chatting with you about all this.
So what are the key takeaways for our listeners?
The most successful organizations value their people.
And create an environment where everyone can flourish.
It's about more than just rules and regulations.
It's about building a culture of respect,
Open communication, continuous learning,
recognizing that people are the heart of it all.
investing in their well-being.
It's not just the right thing to do, it's good for business.
So here's a question to think about.
What does talent mean to you? Is it just skills and experience, or is there something more?
Let us know what you think.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.